choose joy.
Find what makes you unique, and then let that be your guiding light. Don't ever lose sight of it.
Welcome to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. Today and every day, reaching out for innovative ideas in every way. Today's show is brought to you by your future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee. Make a better stay now, baby. Better in every way. Joy is her stance and her flag is in the ground. Because despite so much darkness, there is always a light on somewhere, and she chooses to focus on that. Her new album, Joy, is about her experiences and how she came out of them with her light still on. Please welcome today's guest, Jackie Venson. You've traveled a lot. I see that you played in Texas quite a bit, but I'm looking down here in June, you're in Germany, the Netherlands, France. Wow.
Yep.
That's impressive.
It was a pretty wild tour. It's coming towards like kind of the end, but honestly, I'm never not touring. Like this official tour that you're looking at the list of, that ends on September 15th. And then after that, I am going to be home for like maybe a month. And then
you're yawning.
Then I'm going out. Yeah, no. Then I go out to East Coast and do like a 5-day run on the East Coast out of nowhere, just because we ended up landing this festival, so might as well book around it. And it happens a lot. So people are like, "When's your next tour?" I'm like, "I don't know, maybe November."
Ongoing.
I think I'm going to San Diego in November. I'm so stoked about that.
Do you tour with another band or a group of bands, or?
No, I usually just tour solo or just with my drummer.
Oh. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
I saw a list of people that it looked like you opened for, Earth, Wind, and Fire being one of them.
Yeah, that. So I went on tour with Gary Clark Jr. 2 years ago. We did 10 dates together over the summer, and that's actually what opened up a lot of new cities to me. I played a show with him and was, I guess, had the wherewithal to get people's email addresses. And so then I built a crowd in a lot of the cities that I went to with him. And then from there, I opened up for Earth, Wind, and Fire in Austin, Texas at the Paramount Theater. And also in Austin, Texas, I opened up for Hello Black at this event put on by the university called Longhorn City Winners.
So how fun is that?
Cool.
Yeah, these are probably musicians you've heard of since you were small, and now you're playing with them. That's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, it is pretty cool. What's really cool is the size of the crowd.
Yeah.
It's cool to play in front of a ton of people who are eager to be there. You know, it's different when you're like playing, I don't know, maybe an early slot at a festival, or maybe it's like not really a festival, it's just like a citywide event. It's different because people are there for the event, right?
Right.
They're there to have a good time at the event, and yeah, they're happy that the bands are there and they'll listen, but that's not the primary reason they're there.
Mm-hmm.
What's cool when 3,000 people are primarily there to be at that place, to look at the stage, that's a different feeling than playing in front of like a big crowd at like a big event. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the roles are clear. You're the performer, they're the audience. They came to see you. You've got to deliver because they drove some ways.
There.
Yeah,
exactly. We all have a job to do, and it's really cool.
Do you write most of your material?
Yes, I do. The only song on any of my records that I didn't technically write was a song called "Rolling and Tumbling" on my record Joy, And it's a really old song. It's like almost 100 years old. And everybody's covered it. Buddy Guy covered it.
Oh.
Muddy Waters covered it. Every blues man, and I guess even some blues women, have covered it and kind of tweaked it a little bit. They take the melody and they take the main words of the chorus, but then they change all the words around it to fit their experience. So I thought that was a really cool, seemingly a tradition, you know what I mean? But that was really cool. And so I decided to do that on the new record because I wanted to include some blues.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd keep that tradition going. And it's a song, it's like track 3 on Joy. It's called Rollin' and Tumblin'.
Yep.
And it was written by this guy named like Hambone something, like in the 20s.
Yeah.
I can't remember his full name, but I'm pretty sure it includes the word Hambone.
That might be it. I don't know.
Like Hambone, Willie Walker, or some shit.
Yeah. There were a lot of nicknames like that back in the day. I guess there still are. They're just different now.
Yeah, there are. But they're not like Hambone or like Jughead Sally or some shit, like something weird.
No, it's
always like something weird.
DJ Jughead Sally.
No, yeah, exactly. Now it's DJ, it's not Jughead Sally, it's DJ. Yeah, it's always something weird like that, and you can tell it was from the early 1900s.
Well, I rolled and it tumbled, cried the whole day through. Well, I rolled and it tumbled, cried the whole day through. I need me to find another man who loves me the way you do. Well, I'm searching far and wide, trying to hide my tears. Well, I'm searching far and wide, trying to hide my fears. I need me to find another man who won't hurt me the way you did. Way you did. The way you did. The way you did. Find another way, a way to carry on my own, carry on my own. Don't need no man, just my guitar on my own.
So you play a Stratocaster?
Yes. Yeah, it's like a 2016 Fender Elite Stratocaster.
It's cool. That Strat's one
I
of
love
the
it.
Yeah, it's one of the most popular guitars in the world, I think.
It's just because it's so versatile.
Yeah.
It's like if you want it to sound like a Telly, you can make it sound like a Telly. If you want it to sound like a Jazz Master, you can make it sound like that. You just gotta know exactly how to dial those tone knobs. And then if you want it to sound like a Strat, you can make it sound like a Strat. Even sometimes, depending on the tones you have available on it, you can even make it sound like a semi-hollow body. That was the whole point of it when they built it. They're like, we want a guitar that's not like, if you want to play that genre, you have to play this guitar. If you want to play this genre, you have to play that guitar. Fender was like, I want a guitar that the person doesn't ever have to take off and replace with another guitar. And so they built a Stratocaster. And that's why I love it the most, because I can't be traveling with like 20 guitars.
No.
And I know that some people are like really hard in the tele camp. I get it. And Telecasters are really, really cool when it's the right song for them.
Yeah.
But if you try to play certain songs on a Telecaster, unless you've modified the Telecaster, it's just not right. It's just not the right sound. You know what I mean? Like,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like you try to play jazz on a unaltered, like unless you put your own pickup on it, right?
Yeah.
If you try to play jazz on an unaltered Telecaster, it's like, what are you doing? It's just the wrong sound.
And then there's the Gibson camp with all the Les Paul people and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't know. They're all different. And it comes down to the
know
player.
Much about Gibsons. I don't think they're as roadworthy as Stratocasters. I think like the headstocks break because they're like at a slant a little bit.
Yeah.
And also the neck's shorter on those Les Pauls, so the frets are smaller. I don't like that either. But I don't really know much about the pickups and the tones, so can't really speak to that.
Stick with what you're doing. It sounds great. I know a lot of people that are so into one thing or a certain year of a model and all that. And I just say, if you're a good player, you're a good player. You could pick up anything, really, and play well with it.
Yeah, the tone's in your hands.
So Joy, I saw your Joy video, and I think it's really cool what you're doing. There's a lot of just negativity out there. And really, in my lifetime, it's probably worse than it was in the 60s, it seems to me. Maybe it's because I was a child in the 60s and I didn't notice as much. But there's just a lot of, we need you. Thank you for being here.
I think it's just as bad as it's ever been. But I do think that it is, like, I guess, I don't know if this is a word, but like perceptively worse. It seems like it's easy to perceive it as worse.
Yeah.
Because of the access to information that we have.
Yeah.
So like in the 60s, there was some pretty gnarly crap going on, you know what I'm saying? Like we had like the civil rights movement and like Vietnam War and JFK had been killed and I'm pretty sure MLK had been killed too.
Yeah.
And it was gnarly and people were afraid. And but you guys didn't have Facebook. And you guys didn't have like a constant stream of news notifications dinging your pocket. You know what I mean? Like you knew about the stuff that was going on, but you weren't constantly every single second passing a store window with a flat screen TV in the window telling you about Trump for the 15th hour. And like it wasn't worse. It's just that we have too much information now, and it's constantly stalking us. It's either ringing your pocket or it's on the TV in the bar you're at. You can't even go to the bar and relax, like we can't get away from the information. And so it is worse in a way now. But the actual happenings, they're just as bad as they always have been. We're human beings. We have the same problems. They just come up in different ways.
I see what you're saying. And it is a perception thing because it is just in our face all the time.
Constantly.
When back in the 60s, there were like, at least where I lived, there were 3 major channels and maybe a couple things you couldn't get very well. And there was evening news, and you could shut that off. You can still shut everything off, but you have to be careful. It's bombarding you with stuff all the time. And I guess where I'm going with this is you have to counteract it, and that's what you're doing. That's the only thing you can do. People are going to get stuck on it, addicted to the bad stuff, I think. And then you hear them saying, I'm talking about this because I know they don't want me to talk about it. Well,
yeah. It's like, well, how about this? Here's the kicker. I don't want you to talk about it either. Can we just have a drink and have a good time?
No, tell me a joke or something.
It's like nobody wants you to talk about it because, like, it sucks and there's nothing we can do about it. It's like all we can do as citizens is vote. It's literally all we can do. And so, like, in the times that we're not able to vote, it really sucks to just talk about all the stuff that's terrible in the world. It's like there's nothing we can do about it, so can we just talk about something else?
Get creative.
And I'm not suggesting ignore the news. I'm not suggesting be out of touch.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, know what's going on, know what you can do about it, when you can do about it, and then keep calm and carry on and try to enjoy your life the best you can. You know what I mean?
I've been using the word balance a lot lately. Yeah, you do have to know about that stuff and get a good feel and educate yourself as much as you can.
But don't let it like run your brain.
And then smell the roses, because you'll miss the whole thing. You'll miss your life.
Yes, exactly. But, there's always been those people who like, the same people in the 60s when we didn't have all the internet, the same people were like, reading books and constantly like searching for, stuff to substantiate their theories. They're the tinfoil hat population. They're always going to be there.
I think you're the tinfoil trying to connect with the mothership or something.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah, it was a boop, boop, beep, 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 beep.
Let me know when you hook up. I might beam aboard and see what's going on in another time warp.
That actually reminds me of this. I was watching Rocky Horror Picture Show at the Alamo Drafthouse in Austin. It's like this tradition where every Friday night at midnight they show that movie.
Oh man!
And people show up in like costume and stuff.
No.
And they also like do commentary. Like the audience shouts out words, and whenever it's raining, they like start, like they like put a bunch of water in their mouth and they start like spitting water in the air to make it feel like it's raining. Or like if there's like this one part where there's like the mummy or whatever it is, they like start throwing toilet paper in the air and stuff. It's just this crazy interactive Rocky Horror Picture Show experience. And there's this one part in the middle of the movie where they're all yelling out each other's names. Where it's like, Janet, Scotty, Lola. They start like yelling out each other's names. As soon as they yell out Scotty, like, Scotty! Someone in the audience was like, beat me up! This movie sucks! It's awesome.
Jim, I'm a doctor.
Beat me up! This movie sucks!
That movie was out when I was in college, and I didn't see it till later on television. But I was told it was interactive, and people would dress up and take props and throw stuff and all that.
Exactly.
Maybe there's a future for that. I think you should write a musical, and
might as well turn it into what it's trying to be.
You're the chosen one. It's got to be you, Jackie. I just know you can do it.
Sounds good, man. I'll get to the drawing board on that one.
How do you go about writing? Do you dream songs? Do you sit down and jot them down, or how do you do it?
What's really crazy is that I've been asked this question, and I usually answer it one way. But then the other day I was thinking about, someone asked me the question again, and for some reason I thought about it, and I don't really know. I can tell you what I do. But when it comes down to it, if you give me a song that I've written and you ask me, how did you write that song? I wouldn't be able to answer you. I honestly don't remember. It's weird. So what happens is I sit down and I start to jam on the guitar. And by that I mean just like anything. I could be practicing scales. Maybe like I ran into something the night before that I tried to play and couldn't play it. So I'm like, I'm going to remember that and practice that tomorrow, right? So I'll sit down to just practice. I'm not even thinking about writing a song. And I'll start jamming on the thing that I wanted to work on. And then sometimes I'll hit a wrong note in the process of working on that thing.
Yeah.
But the wrong note will sound like something else.
Yep.
And then I'll start jamming on that. And I'm not even doing the original thing I sat down to do. And then that turns into like a rhythm part for something else. And I'm like, whoa. Mm-hmm. So then I'll start looping that rhythm part because I have a looper pedal. It really helps.
Yeah.
I loop that part and I start playing melodies and notes over it. And then as far as the subject of the song goes, once I found like a cool rhythm part and a really cool melody that matches the rhythm part, I'll start to just go into dreamland as to what the song is about. I'm like, okay, this song is this chord progression and this tonality. What does it sound like it's about, right?
Yeah.
And then from there I'll start thinking of like little catchphrases that work with whatever the song sounds like it's about. And it's just really weird and strange, and it's like the stream of consciousness, and there's no way to force it. And like it usually just starts by me just like practicing the guitar. Specific songs, I don't remember when I wrote them. I don't remember how I came up with the idea. I don't remember anything. It's like they didn't exist, and then I worked on it for a night, and then they did.
Okay, here's your hard assignment. I'm going to ask you, how do you write Only Have You? Now that you told me that. Only Have You. How did that come about?
How did I write?
Yeah.
Okay, let me reach into the far corners of my memory.
I'm sorry. I wrote that make you song. Work this hard.
I wrote that song. I do remember when I wrote it. I wrote that song somewhere at the end of 2017. Somewhere like in fall of 2017, I wrote that song.
Okay.
And I remember I had loaded these. I was working with this drum machine called a Roland SPDSX. And I had like also somewhere along the line, I had this keyboard that had some really cool sounds on it. And I found these chords. Oh, I remember now. I was trying to think of an arrangement for another song I had written called Run. And I found these string chords because I wanted Run to be more than just guitar, bass, and drums. I wanted it to include some kind of percussive string sound to do the chords instead of the guitar, right? I was like, okay, for once I want the guitar part to not be the rhythm part. I want it to be just a melody. And then I want the keyboard to be the rhythm part. So I was hunting around for these sounds, and I found this really cool, what sounded like some kind of old music box strings, like vaudeville theater strings, right? And I just started playing the chords to Run, and then I sampled them and put them on this SPDSX drum pad. So every time I would hit a pad, it would sound a chord. So then I was just like, you know, taking a break. Sometimes I like to take little mental breaks from hyper-focusing on a song. And I just started hitting the drum pads. It was like bling, 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 bling. And I was just hitting them like a monkey. You know, like a monkey who just found a new toy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like bling, 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 bling. I was just hitting them for like 20 minutes because I was just like taking a mental break, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I found this chord order, which were the chords of Run, but in a different order. And that's how I came up with that. If you listen to Only Have You, it's like bling, bling, bling. And the bass line is in between it. So it's like bling, ba-dum-bum, dude, bling, ba-dum-bum, dude, bling, ba-dum-bum. And it's the string sounds. And those were the string sounds I was screwing around with on the SPDSX like a monkey. and they just came out in this order. And I was like, cool, that sounds like a whole new song. And so I recorded it onto my phone, and I started building that song like a few days later when I was, you know, working on something else. But that's how the beginnings of that song came. I was just messing around with the chords of another song and a certain sound patch.
Now, you see how exciting that is? Because I would have never figured that. And other listeners, it just sounds intentional, like you knew exactly what you were going to do from the start. You got out of bed, you plugged in, you just whipped that song off, and that's how it came about. But not the case.
Nope. I was just like, it was like a dog with a squeaky toy. He's like, squeak, 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 squeak. And then it was like all of a sudden, it was like, squeak, 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 squeak. I was like, oh, cool. After like 30 minutes of just squeaking it. You know what I'm saying?
It's a great song. I love it. Amazing.
Yeah, it turned into something pretty cool.
Amazing
It
how
started off as chaos, and it turned into something pretty cool.
a monkey or a dog with a squeeze toy. We've got Noah's Ark going on, right?
Exactly. That's how it started. I'm serious. I was just like hitting these pads with I wasn't even hitting them in beat. I was just hitting them because it was fun to hit the pad with the drumstick. It was like a cool feeling. And it just turned into that.
Witchcraft.
Oh, that song. So that was actually a rewrite. I wrote that. That was one of the first songs I ever came out with in 2012.
Oh.
One of the first songs. It was on my first EP called the Rollin' On EP. I'll be impressed if you can find it. You'll probably be able to find it on YouTube, but I took it off all the major streaming platforms just because I was so young, and I wanted to kind of give those songs a second chance. So I rewrote Witchcraft from like this rock trio song, and I don't remember at all how I wrote the original version. The second version, I just took all of the parts of the original version that I really liked, and I got rid of all the parts that I thought were kind of weak, and I rewrote the parts that were weak. So on the original song, the verses were really strong. So the verse is the same as if you were to hear the trio version. But on the original song, the chorus was really weak. And so I rewrote the chorus. And then also the guitar breakdown solo section was really weak. And so me and the producer of the song rewrote that breakdown. His name's Nick Clark. He's a bass player. Mm-hmm. So he turned that into like a shared guitar bass breakdown section. And then we added synthesizers and Moogs and stuff. And then it kind of turned into what it is right now.
I don't praise your God. I praise the earth and the sky and the moon. I don't follow time. I follow waves of the ocean of my womb. What I do to you is witchcraft, and it's up to you. Resist that. Resist that. Resist that. Resist that. So time after time, we have the power. But no chance to shine, only to be devoured. Waiting patiently for things to change. Well, now change has come. Prepare for the way. What I do to you is witchcraft, and it's up to you. Resist that. What I do to you is witchcraft, and it's up to you. Witchcraft. Resist that. There's a new day coming. Oh my, how we prayed. There's a new wave coming. Don't get swept away. There's a new day coming. Oh my, how we prayed. There's a new wave coming. Don't get swept away. There's a new day coming. Oh my, how we prayed. There's a new wave coming. Don't get swept away. What I do to you is witchcraft, and it's up to you. Resist that. What I do to you is witchcraft, and it's up to you.
I watched your video, Joy. Who all was on your video? Looks like you guys are having a good time.
Oh, yeah. So it's this guy named Tyrone. He's the one who smushes his face into the cake. And then my friend Jen, she actually grew up next door to her. I used to play with her kids all the time.
Uh-huh.
And then now that I turned into an adult, and now we're friends. So that was cool.
Hey.
And then a few other people just that I know around town. One of them's in a band. One of them's a fan of mine. He's in the JV squad. And another one is just like a kind of fan/friend I met over the years. And we just kind of put out a post on our Facebook group called the JV squad. And we were like, hey, if you can, show up today at 5 o'clock. We're going to do this. And so that's who showed up.
It looks like your friends.
Who got the Facebook post.
Everybody's having a good time. So you just say, here's what we're going to do. Go for it.
Yep. I'm like, you're going to wear these outfits and we're going to dance like this. Yeah, and they were like, okay.
You're color coordinated.
Yeah, that was actually the director. His name's Andrew Bennett. It was his idea.
Oh.
Or maybe it was Dorothy. Dorothy's his wife. They run this video company together called Bennett Creative. And they're the ones who came up with the treatment for the song. And their idea is that in movies and television, colors actually represent stuff. Like it's like a thing that's been going on ever since color movies have been introduced in the first place. So like yellow represents joy, and green represents envy and jealousy and stuff. Blue represents like I don't know, kind of like a sadness or like a melancholy. And then purple represents like royalty and like, I don't know, like self-empowerment,
Oh.
I guess. Like, yeah, they found all this information when they were researching stuff. And so, I guess, and I think pink represents like greed or something. Like you want more than what you have, And yeah, I can't remember exactly what it is, but if you watch the video again, knowing that, you can see that the things that I'm doing in each color kind of represent each color.
I'm glad you told me that, because I wouldn't have known. I knew there was some methodology behind it, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Totally. I should maybe make that information available. It might make people, maybe put it in the description of the video or something. I think people might really appreciate that.
I just like color, so yeah, I just thought it was fascinating.
That's kind of how I felt about it. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it.
When it was me and you ran away at something new. Realized I had been used. Now trust is hard to do. Not only tonight, give me tomorrow. The work is never done. It's the pill I have swallowed. So I will forgive. I won't take it personal. There always is a choice. I have made the choice. I choose joy. Thought you were a good idea. Knew I could not make it real. Try to force it, make it work. Immediate crash and burn. Gotta leave tonight. I can't get tomorrow. Short-term happiness can be long-term sorrow. Hope you can forgive. Hope you find a real love. Whenever I lose track, it always brings me back. I choose joy. Joy. I choose joy. don't buy it. Give me actions, not only words. When it's time to stand, you're in the dirt. I decide, my soul is not for rent. I decide, my dreams cannot be bent. I decide, ignore the noise. I decide, I choose joy.
So where all is your music available?
Oh, pretty much everywhere. I can't really think of a platform that it's not available on. Some of my songs are like CD only. I have this record called the Love Suite Limited Release. You can only order it on CD online on my website. It's not available digitally. And then some of the songs are only available digitally and not available on CDs. So most of my stuff, probably a good 85% of my stuff is on Spotify, Tidal, Amazon, like all of them, anything that you listen to. And then some of them are like you can only get at shows.
Well, I consider you a youngster because I'm an oldster, but if you were going to give any advice, any tips to even younger people coming up that are interested in music, what would you say?
Find what makes you unique, and then let that be your guiding light. Don't ever lose sight of it.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you. Better reach Dave. Me.
Yeah, exactly. So we're on the same wavelength because you're doing joy and I'm doing better each day, and that's the way I want it to be.
Listening to the Better Each Day podcast radio show with Bruce Hilliard. We'll be back with a new horizon, but until then, honor the future. It comes with a lifetime guarantee.
And we're all just trying to make the next day a bit better.